Saved by the bell only in the final round, and the scoring, the 10-point must scoring system. And now the champ, Sean O'Grady, checks out these two fighters, Thornton and Scully, on the blackboard.
Brought to you by Head & Shoulders, the boxing blackboard. Tony Thornton, use what I call aggressive defensiveness. While advancing, bob and weave, keeping the pressure on, and set up your bread and butter punch. The overhand right with jabs to the skull of your opponent, John Scully. In the hometown of Tony, use more offense. Don't lie back where Thornton can pick you apart. He's heavy-handed, so neutralize his power by knocking the bread right out of his basket.
Well, fans, we're back again here at the legendary Blue Horizon in the city of Philadelphia, which is the city of brotherly love, for this evening's main event, which is being promoted by Peltz Boxing Promotions and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers, is approved by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, the Honorable Howard E. McCall, Chairman, the Honorable Greg Serb, Executive Director. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled 10-round super middleweight bout, referee Rudy Battle. The judges, Manny Altman, Al Morris, and Herb Rhodes. And now, my good friends, introducing the principals. First, in the red corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim. He weighed in at 168 1/4 pounds. Professionally, this pugilist has 27 wins, only 3 losses with 15 knockouts. From Windsor, Connecticut, ladies and gentlemen, here is John, the Iceman Scully. Scully. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the blue trunks with the orange trim. He weighed in at 167 1/2 pounds. Professionally, he has 32 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, with 23 knockouts. The former USBA middleweight champion from Glassboro, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Tony, the Punching Postman, Thornton. Thornton.
Okay, John, I expect a clean break at all. Listen up. I expect a clean break at all times. Watch your low blows, watch your holding and hitting. Any questions here? Yes, sir. All right, let's have a nice, clean contest. Good luck to both of you. Thanks, guys. All right.
The only thing that has slowed Thornton down lately, besides Chris Eubank, has been the blizzard of 93, the Punching Postman, who even Saturday not able to keep his appointed routes, but his appointed route tonight right across the ring in John Scully. Thornton ranked number 4 in the world by the IBF, and John Scully looks for this fight to vault him into a title opportunity. Both fighters come in high percentage of knockouts. Thornton with 32 wins, 23 by KO. Scully 27 wins, 15 knockouts, and it's Thornton who's off the bat trying to corner John Scully, who brings it back into the center of the ring.
They call him the Punching Postman. Dynamite in that right hand from Tony Thornton. However, he broke that right hand back in May of 1991 against Murky Sosa, who won a 10-round bout. Since then, he's only had 1 KO. That coming in the first round against Khalif Shabazz back in June of last year.
And there's abracadabra, and Shabazz disappeared in 1 round. But Tony Thornton, after the Chris Eubank fight in September, has had 1 fight since that, and against Melvin Wynn, a very underwhelming 8-round decision for Thornton against Wynn with a record of 12-13. And Thornton, who sometimes gives way to his cravings for junk food, kind of loaded up on the cupcakes and the chips, lost his conditioning in that one, but a little different here. He is focused against 27-3 John Scully after the loss to Eubank, and a taste of that title shot in which Thornton admitted in his first world title chance that he really kind of got caught up. The fight was over in Scotland, kind of felt a little tight, not able to fight the aggressive fight that he would have preferred. And his thought going in tonight's fight that he doesn't want to look good, he wants to look outstanding. He wants to knock out Scully And he says, if I don't win this one, you know, there won't be any more Eubank fights. So, although I think we can line him up with Bob Eubanks if necessary. And right now it's Scully.
He'd have to answer questions.
Thornton trying to cut off the ring in this first round. It's scheduled for 10. Thornton digging in. Remember, Scully said Thornton, he knows exactly where he'll be. Slow, sluggish, he'll come right at me. And Scully wants to show Thornton some movement. Give him the angles, counter him.
And John says, I've got a terrific defense, but defense does not win fights. He needs more offense. We use speed and movement tonight and try to take it to Tony Thornton.
Scully says he wears guys down. He has the sense of when to go in. He wanted to do it in his last fight against Tim Littles. He was waiting and waiting. Like I said, Littles never wore him down. But we've seen Littles before, and Tim Littles could go 20, 30 rounds a night. Final seconds of the first round in our main event.
When it's greasy and grimy enough to be thrown away, you need new Super Clean, the Tough Task Cleaner Degreaser from Castrol. Castrol Super Clean solubilizes grease, neutralizing its ability to stick, which is why it's more powerful than any leading brand. So maybe the only thing you should be throwing away is your old cleaner degreaser. If it won't come clean with Super Clean, it won't come clean.
Sean, before you talk about all the different weight classes, now this is in the super middleweight division. There's an WBA, BC, IBF champions. Then it's Chris Eubank of the WBO, and then also USBA and NABF. And Tony Thornton's not ranked as a champion in any of these categories, and that's exactly where he wants to be. How many super middleweights are out there?
Well, there are a lot of them, but
and they all have some kind of a title.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he wants the opportunity to fight for one of these titles now, and with fights like this, perhaps he'll get it.
Thornton is ranked number 4 in the IBF, 7 in the WBC. And right now, Scully is ranked number 21 by the WBC. That's his highest ranking, and he knows what a win tonight does for him.
You talked about the fight with Melvin Nguyen. After the Chris Eubank fight, that fight was just to put him back on the winning trail, get his confidence up, and keep him busy. With fights like this, too, that's what he should do. Continue the activity, keep busy, try to stay sharp, and he must win. Good digging shot to the body, left hook. Wicked weapon.
Scully is out. Here's his opportunity also to prove to himself that he belongs in the upper class in this division. He said just going the 12 rounds with Tim Littles showed that he could fight with a world-ranked fighter. Now he has to find a way to beat a world-class fighter. Scully knocked out his first 9 opponents when he turned pro. He was an amateur star, 4-time New England Golden Gloves champion. He won his first 13 fights, 12 by knockout, before he lost a 10-rounder to Brett Lally. Scully then went on, put together some more wins before losing to Kevin Watts in a 10-round decision at a time when Scully was right on the threshold of a possible top 10 ranking. Since that time, he went up to super middleweight. He started as a middle, and he won 9 in a row, projecting him into that Littles fight in November.
He says his weight is not 160 pounds. He gets down too low in that classification, so he boxes at 168 pounds. He says, this is where I belong.
He beat Lamar Parks twice in the amateurs and went to the U.S. Olympic trials where he lost to Darren Allen, the guy he beat in the Eastern Regionals to get into the Olympic trials.
Good right hand from Thornton. Scully shakes his head yes. There he shakes it no.
Scully from Windsor, Connecticut, and the fans tonight behind Tony Thornton from Glassboro, New Jersey. Went to college at Westchester State, where He was a boxer in college. That's where his amateur career was, in school. A two-time NCAA junior middleweight champion.
And he is scoring here the last part of the second round.
You shrink from human contact. You avoid each other like the plague.
Al Albert along with the champ Sean O'Grady from the Blue Horizon on North Broad Street in Philadelphia. And this is the third round action. Tony Thornton in the blue trunks and John Scully in the red.
Speaking of red, look how bright red the face of John Scully is. He's been taking a lot of those shots right on the end. He said in this fight he wanted to be more of a boxer, wanted to move more. If he's standing out on the end of those punches, he must move.
You talked about Thornton's right hand. He had reeled off 4 straight KOs before the Sosa fight when he hurt his hand. As Sean had mentioned, since that time, January of 90, or May of 91, has but one knockout in a fight against a completely one-sided fight against Khalif Shabazz. Thornton burst on the professional scene, winning his first 17 fights, 16 by knockout, when he stepped in the ring against Doug DeWitt in November of '87 for the USBA middleweight title. And they fought through 12 rounds and a draw. And the USBA has you go to overtime. Sudden death, one more round. And DeWitt won that 13th round and handed Thornton his first defeat as a pro. Thornton went on to win the USBA title by beating Mike Tinley in 12, but then lost it to Kevin Watts. And another chance at the USBA, lost to Steve Collins. At that point, he moved up to the super middleweight division. He won 10 of his next 11 fights. The only loss was stopped on cuts by Ishmael Negron. He had beaten Dave Tiberi along the way. And that set up the Chris Eubank fight for the WBA or WBO super middleweight crown. And Eubank won that 12-rounder in a fight in which Thornton said that try to pace himself, just wasn't aggressive throughout, try to come on late, but it was too late by that time.
And he has been more aggressive in this fight, trying to move in and throw punches. Scully changing around at times to the southpaw stance, trying to confuse Tony Thornton.
30 seconds left in the third. It's a scheduled 10-round fight.
There again, Scully to the southpaw stance. Good heavy shots downstairs and then upstairs from Tony. Ooh. Nice uppercut. They're wanting for John Scully to throw punches. The corner banging on the side of the canvas, asking for more shots.
Fourth round action. Tony Thornton in the blue and John Scully in the red. Rudy Battle, the third man in the ring.
From there, right?
Keeping a good eye on the stool. Make sure that the corner of Thornton got that stool out. You don't want to leave that in. Between rounds, they're telling Scully a lot of good work, but we want more movement and more punches. And he comes out the first part of this round to try to oblige them. Pepe Vasquez, George Cruz, wanting more action from him.
Scully has never been stopped in a fight. Thornton just that one fight on cuts against Negron.
In the top of the head is a problem for Thornton. Scully has a head tucked real low, and he's coming in with the top of his head. So Thornton reaches underneath to throw the uppercut. When you throw that uppercut, just split those elbows. There it is. Bring it on the inside. You have to turn your palm up. That's a good punch.
Get off him, get off him.
And Thornton very relaxed up against the ropes.
Sure. Relaxed, moving, see him rolling with these punches. This is the movement that they wanted from Scully. They said more movement from the body up, more head movement.
Scully from the New England area served as a sparring partner for Vinny Pazienza. Has also sparred with Roy Jones, Lamar Parks, man he beat twice as an amateur, Darren Van Horn, Lindell Holmes, Otis Grant. And he said what he has learned from these gentlemen, he realized that you can't make mistakes and get away with it at that level. So against the Roy Jones, if he dropped his left, he's getting hit.
Good fighter is Scully. It's been around this boxing game for a long time, but he may be suffering from a little bit of sparring partner syndrome. See him taking unnecessary shots. He's got his hands up by his face, protecting his face, but it's a terrible impression on the judges, not to mention on his face, and you can see it. The face bright red of John Scully.
50 seconds left in the fourth.
Watch the head, says Rudy Battle. Both of them coming close on the inside.
Tony Thornton coming in. He says one thing he likes about John Scully is he always knows that he's going to be within punching range. And that's something to the liking of the punching postman.
And he is correct. Right there on the end of his punches. 90% of that power is right, that final snap, just where John Scully is. Look at this pressure. There goes the mouthpiece.
Final seconds of the fourth.
That was not the mouthpiece. Some of the Vaseline around the eyes of Scully.
So San Antonio becoming the new boxing capital of the world. Chavez Whitaker talked about that's where that fight will be.
Oh, for a long time, San Antonio has loved boxing. My father, Pat, used to promote there way back when.
And Jesse James Aleja, one of the exciting young boxers on the horizon. And he gets a great test in Espinosa.
A good matchup, and you know the crowd there will be into that fight. Can't wait.
And right now the crowd trying to get into this fight, the main event. Tony Thornton fighting his fight, digging in. You know, every time Scully goes back to his corner, he hears from Pepe Vasquez telling him how slow Thornton is, but Scully not taking advantage if indeed he is that slow.
Well, they're always slower when you're on the outside of the ring looking in. You know, Scully is having problems with the speed, the power, the punches, the pressure from Tony Thornton. Thornton not giving him a minute to rest.
And now Thornton really digging in, loading up with that right hand, trying to open up John Scully inside.
Yeah, I talked to you earlier about the pace of Amparo Wilkins, our first fight. This fight has gone at a good pace. Slowly getting quicker and stronger and harder is Tony Thornton. And this pressure is just eating John Scully alive.
And there may be a cut under the left eye of Scully.
That cut has been threatening to open since the second round because of the bright red face of Scully.
Well, you better bring him the end swell that you have.
Yeah.
Get it into that corner.
Actually, I still have it.
That's right. You have the only end swell in the building here tonight.
I'm using it on you, Al. Actually, I want to thank Stan Mikloszewski for loaning me this. He said he has 3 of them. So I hope he doesn't have, I hope Scully does not have 3 different whelps.
A record-breaking 3 end swells. And Scully's going to need it when he goes back to the corner after this round. Thornton really coming on, delivering some heavy shots.
And turning it up. This round, he senses what's going on. He senses complete control of the fight. He realizes that Scully cannot hurt me now. So now he really puts the pressure on, although it is Scully who is throwing the punches. But look at the movement from Tony Thornton. This is the movement that they wanted Scully to use. The side-to-side movement, the bobbing and the weaving. You weave over to one side, and then you rip an uppercut.
And the blood on the other side. The blood on the top of the head of Thornton is from the cut under the eye of Scully.
Oh, those uppercuts doing so much damage. A lot of fighting on the inside.
Trouble in paradise? Don't call the Marines. Get Bruce.
Oh, no.
It's the master of martial arts at his bare-knuckled best.
Been practicing, huh?
Bruce Lee. Enter the Dragon on USA. Friday night at 9, 8 Central.
It's deep.
southpaw, the right hook will work for you all the time. Double and triple. Let's wake up, baby, okay? Come on. Let's wake up. Give me the water. Water.
Well, there's an air of confidence in the corner of John Scully.
Hey, let's wake up and fight.
They are pleased at his work so far. They're trying to change his style, but against a fighter like Tony Thornton, that's a big task, trying to change the style. They seem to be pleased over there with his action. He was busier in the last round than he was in most of the previous rounds. And they were pleased, they were happy with that. You know, activity is the key for him. Scully, not a big banger, only 15 KOs in his 27 fights. You got to be busy. He says he's a great defensive fighter, and he is. His problem is offense.
Well, he has 15 knocks. 12 of them came in the first 13 fights for Scully.
And they like him from that southpaw stance. They say that he is confusing Thornton. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm seeing a different fighter, but something, I've got Thornton comfortably ahead in this match.
Thornton now whipping out the jab. The 33-year-old Tony Thornton, who's got to feel that it's got to happen for him pretty soon. And you got to give credit to him. He's known as the Punching Postman. And he's up at 5:30 a.m. Reports to work around 6:15-ish. Works until 3. Walks 7 miles on the job. Then he goes to the gym from 4 to 6:30. Goes home for a little dinner. Goes out to do his road work. Runs 5 miles. Gets home about 9, and the rest of the evening is his.
He just takes off the rest of the evening.
Determined.
Very dedicated.
Yeah.
You know, and he brings that into his boxing. He takes it very seriously. He realizes what he wants to do. He systematically goes out and tears his opponents apart. You know, nice kid too.
Actually, he was going to, while he was going to college and boxing there, he was doing shift work at a glass factory and boxing, and it was just too much. He had to quit boxing and quit school because he had financial matters to deal with. He had to work. So he was out of boxing for 5 years. When he finally came back, turned pro, he saw too many guys making big money. He thought he was better, and his pro career has now been combined with his career as a postman.
And that's why he's in such great shape in these fights. Not only is he running the 5 miles, not only is his day regimented, not only is he working out in the gym, but he's also walking his route from the post office. And in the deep, heavy snow, you know that's tough walk for him.
With the post office for 9 years in Belmar, New Jersey.
Says that one day he will go back to school. Impressive.
10 seconds left in the 6th round, and we will pause for a word from your local cable systems.
CNN and CNN Headline News, 2 different networks for news. On CNN, you get live, in-depth reports of breaking news, while Headline News gives you a concise overview of the day's major events. On CNN, you also get programs like Larry King Live and Sports Tonight, while Headline News updates business, sports, and entertainment news every 30 minutes.
Sponsored in part by Westway Ford Isuzu Subaru, just west of Texas Stadium on Airport Freeway.
Brief quotes by Jim Dandy. I always enjoyed those trips with my dad until he got arrested for no auto insurance. But that's okay. Now Mom and I take lots of trips to see Dad on Visitor's Day.
Call Affordable now at Metro 214-445-1234 for the lowest rates on auto insurance with no down payment.
Shouldn't your insurance be affordable? Affordable.
Call Metro 214-445-1234 now.
Call now. Another edition of Then and Now. John Scully on the left prior to tonight's fight, and John Scully on the right through 6 rounds.
What a difference 6 rounds can make. Masterfully tearing him apart is Tony Thornton. Putting the shots in where they count. You know, Tony wastes very few punches. When he throws, he connects with something. A lot of focus from him. You know, his day is regimented, his boxing is regimented. round by round. He knows where he wants to be and what he wants to do.
He has lost 5 fights in his 38, and he went through a span in '89 where he lost to Kevin Watts and Steve Collins and Ishmael Negron 3 times in 4 fights. And he went through a period, we talked about how busy he is, and he really was burnt out. And now he's trying to take John Scully out. And Thornton was just going through a period, Sean, where physically he was okay, but he really didn't get down into his workouts. Boxing became a chore more than an enjoyment. And he said that was the time he had to rededicate or retire. And he decided to rededicate. And he would then win 9 straight, leading him into the Chris Eubank fight. But you could understand where a guy like this gets burnt.
You see that so much in this sport, Al, because these men are first and foremost human beings. I mean, they have emotions and dreams, desires like anybody else.
And some of them have jobs.
When they get beat, they don't lose. It just blows their mind. They go into a ring thinking they're invincible. They can beat everybody. Then when they get beat, they don't lose, and you see it so much. You don't lose just once. They lose twice, 3 times, 4 times. And if they resurrect their career, it's usually after 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah, but I think he was burnt because of the schedule he was keeping also.
Right, but also you have to play into consideration that, I tell you, getting beat, it affects you mentally. It affects you in your brain. You think, oh, I really can be beat. I'm not as invincible as I am. You have to go back and face those people, the people on his postal route that watch his fights. He has to go back and face them and say, hey, I lost, I got beat. And unlike other sports, Al, you are a person in this. Personally, you get beat. Other sports, the team gets beat. And right now, it is John Scully getting beat.
Well, Scully is holding that left hand dangerously low, especially against Thornton,
who has a good overhand right. They like Scully being in that southpaw position. Not confusing Thornton at all, though. Against the left-handers, use the straight right hand. Tony is.
And that ends round number 7. 3 over the horizon here, the Blue Horizon. And there is one of the Blues' favorite and most successful fighters, Rockin' Rodney Moore, in the crowd here tonight. And he tells us, Sean, that he is all set with a championship fight against Charles Murray for the vacant IBF junior welterweight title on May 15th. And Rockin' Rodney already talking to Charles Murray.
Hoping Charles Murray listening in. Somebody listening in better be in that corner of John Scully.
Out your mouth. In your mouth. Come on. Come on. Hey, John,
that's the title vacated by Pernell Whitaker. But right now, it is John Scully who's got to get going in the last 3 rounds against Tony Thornton.
You know how much we've seen a fighter like Rodney Moore grow, mature as a fighter. When we first started seeing him, he had no direction in his boxing inside the ropes. Even a man like Tony Thornton, how much I compare Rodney to Tony. The same type of focus with Tony, the same type of dedication, a direction in his career.
And the crowd now chanting for Tony Thornton. Michael Nunn, the WBA super middleweight champ. Nigel Benn, the WBC. And James Toney, after the victory over Iran Barkley, heads the list to the IBF. Thornton is ranked 4 by the IBF, number 7 by the WBC. Not in the top 10 by the WBA. And you see that quite often. What is the explanation of a guy ranked up high in 2 divisions and not even found in sight of a 3rd?
Rival organizations. They are not. They don't like each other. In fact, the way all these organizations, the way it all happened is, first of all, back when the National Boxing Association was around, some disgruntled members broke off from that and started the WBA. Some got disgruntled in that. They broke up from WBC. And they want to rate their own champions. They don't want to rate whatever everybody else is rating. Then the IBF was formed, and the WBO was
but
formed.
generally there's a consensus of, you know the top fighters around. Here's a guy who's ranked high in 2 divisions, and another one leaves him off completely.
He belongs in there. Yes. But that's the game. That's the way that it happens. That's the way the ball bounces, unfortunately, for Tony Thornton. He belongs in all of them.
Now, do I get a T-shirt? Because that was more or less of a KO comment type question. But I didn't write it down on a postcard.
Now, wait a minute. You're a paperweight. I don't know what size you wear.
We're inside the final minute of round number 8.
You've got to write it in. You've got to go through the post office box.
Right on paper.
That's right.
Tony Thornton will deliver it to you.
Yes, you are correct.
30 seconds left. The cut under the eye of John Scully.
You know, too defensive was Scully in his fight with Tim Littles, and again in this fight, too defensive. Sparring partner syndrome. Just trying to survive, just trying to last. There is a cut underneath the right eye. I have to look at my shoes for that.
It's the
John
uppercut of Thornton, just ripping up the face of John Scully. Thornton has done a job tattooing the face of John Scully. The doctor came into the corner at the end of the 8th round, and he will let it go on here into the 9th. Scheduled for 10.
And Scully complained to him. He said, I want to go on. Do not stop this fight, Doc.
He has never been stopped before.
And Scully must begin his career by being realistic with himself. In this fight, he has taken too many punches. He's got to get back, watch the tape of it, and say, hey, realistically, I should be more aggressive. I should be busier. I should be throwing more punches. I'm standing, getting hit too clean too many times.
Well, if he called Thornton slow and sluggish in his corner, telling Scully that Thornton's slow as molasses, what does that say about Scully?
Exactly.
If Scully was right about Thornton. I don't know if he'd say the same things now.
But you don't know. So many fighters, they think that they're winning the fight even though they're losing. Even though they're getting hit, they don't see those. All they see is themselves landing their shots. Doing a real sculptor's job is Tony Thornton. Pinpointing every one of these punches. Delivering them like a letter. Sorry.
Getting your kick out of yourself? 9th round action. We're halfway through. Tony Thornton right now has this one in his back pocket.
Scully's been getting the kick out of Thornton. Kick out of his punches. Now you're getting a kick out of yourself. What's that for? You're laughing.
Left in the 9th round.
And the 9th round, usually in professional boxing, the round before the last, they take a break so that they can come on strong that final round. Blood pouring down. And the cut underneath the left eye. Remember the last round, cut underneath the right eye. John Scully.
John Scully has delivered only 2 of his 15 knockouts in the last 3.5, 4 years. So he needs the miracle in the last 3 minutes and 20 seconds of this one. He's certainly getting himself. What he wants to do is get through this 9th round without suffering any more damage in the cuts and throw it all out in the last 3 minutes of the fight.
And I'd say good time to stop the fight. I've got him way behind. I have not given him a round, and he's cut underneath both eyes.
When it's greasy and grimy enough to be thrown away, you need new Super Clean, the Tough Task Cleaner Degreaser from Castrol. Castrol Super Clean solubilizes grease, neutralizing its ability to stick, which is why it's more powerful than any leading brand. So maybe the only thing you should be throwing away is your old cleaner degreaser. If it won't come clean with Super Clean, it won't come clean.
Call 1-800-528-1234 or your travel agent. Your best bet is the Best Western.
It just gets worse and worse. That's John Scully in the corner after the 9th round.
Between rounds, he's got cuts underneath both eyes. Now, they both were bleeding in the last round. At the first part of this round, they are cleaned up. But Scully standing out on the end of those punches. There he is with a good left hook. They turn into the southpaw stance.
But Scully determined to go the distance once again to keep that record intact. He is facing his 4th defeat in 31 fights. His other losses coming at the hands of Brett Lally, Kevin Watts, and in his last fight for the USBA super middleweight crown against Tim Littles when he lost a 12-rounder. But Tony Thornton just too heavy-handed for John Scully tonight. And Thornton's on his way to his 33rd win against 5 defeats and a draw.
You know, with all this movement that Thornton is using from the waist up, he is making this an easy fight. Moving from the waist up, taking control of the match, pulling away from his opponents.
What's the difference? What makes Tony Thornton a world champion?
Well, he needs another test against a fighter a little more danger than John Scully.
He's never been in danger tonight.
No, exactly. And for that reason, I say, you know, it's time to step up a little bit to a little bit better competition. I would say a USBA NABF championship around his waist, and then go for a world championship fight. Or you know what? He could go into a world title fight now. He thinks that he won the fight with Chris Eubank, although he did not get the decision.
Well, the guys like Michael Nunn and Nigel Benn and James Toney, who may be watching in, feel that this is a guy they would want to fight.
Yes,
in Thornton.
Absolutely. A man with name recognition like Thornton has. Dangerous fighter, though. Someone that you have to get up for because he's got the powerful right hand.
Now, would you say that he does have the powerful right hand now?
Yes, he still has it. However, you remember the right hand was broken earlier, and he may still be having some trouble with that.
Well, off of what you've seen, what would
I would say something's wrong with his right hand. I have seen him dig in with that right hand and really crack with it. But you haven't seen a lot of right hands from him tonight.
30 seconds left in the fight.
And the right hands that he has punched with have not driven through John Scully. As much as he's hit Scully with that right hand, he should have been able to knock him out. So I think there is something terribly wrong with that right.
Although Scully's a guy who doesn't get knocked out. Final seconds.
You hit him
in
right.
The 10th.
Anybody gets knocked out.
You're saying a guy like Scully doesn't get knocked out if he got hit by a Tony Thornton right that you were talking about.
Yes. And the right punch at the right time will knock anybody out. I don't care who they are. Iron Jaw McGraw will go down to the canvas.
We'll be back with a decision. Tony Thornton very confident that he has number 33.
Here on the set, when the lights come up and the camera starts to roll, there's no place to hide. And even one flake of dandruff, even one, can ruin it all. That's why I use Head & Shoulders. You know, it's even better than it was just a couple of years ago. Today's Head & Shoulders gets to 10 times more of the places dandruff starts. Put it to the test. Prove it to yourself. Head & Shoulders and Head & Shoulders 2-in-1. Because great hair can't have flakes.
I'm on the road every day of the week, making over a dozen stops along my route, so I know the value of good brakes. I've got a lot of little lives depending on them. And when I'm out on the road with my family, our lives depend on good brakes. That's why I depend on Meineke.
At Meineke, we do brakes, and we do them right. We analyze the whole system, pinpoint the problem, and fix it, period.
No matter why you're on the road, you can depend on brakes from Meineke. I do.
A very poised, calm, collected Tony Thornton, not really tested here tonight. And this is the face of the other guy, John Scully, chopped up by Tony Thornton, the guy he felt was too slow. And how long will it be before John Scully is fighting again?
Well, a cut will heal 1% per day. so he could fight. He's going to be off of those cuts 90 days the commissions require.
Nasty cuts under the eyes of John Scully, who at this point just looks to be pleased that he did indeed finish the fight and he went the distance and at least keeps that record intact of never being stopped. And work continues on the eyes of John Scully. A brutal sight in tonight's main event. We're ready now for Ed Darian in the ring. Ed?
Ladies and gentlemen, from the legendary Blue Horizon here in Philadelphia, we've got the scoring, and here it goes. Judge Herb Rhodes watched the fight at 99-92, while Judge Al Morris, he scored it 99-91. And Judge Manny Altman, he had it 190. For the winner, by unanimous decision, Tony the Punching Postman Thornton.
Well, a couple of judges found a round for Scully. Thornton pitches the shutout. The third judge. And John Scully finding out once again against Tony Thornton, as he did against Tim Littles, that maybe he is not ready for prime time. Tony Thornton trying to work his way back to another world title fight. So Thornton with the win, and he goes to 33-5-1. And now it's time to check in with tonight's Power Punch, brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And it was from one of the earlier fights. William the Hammer Jones, the 23-year-old powerhouse out of Philadelphia with a 19-1 record and 15 knockouts, goes up against Greg Cadiz, who came in at 4-16-1. You see Hammer coming off his first loss against a guy named Eric Holland, who was 8-14-3. And you know, in this fight, Hammer Jones was stunned in the first round by Cadiz, but he came back to stop him in the second. And that's tonight's Budweiser Power Punch.